Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Very important topic today. Leaky gut has been associated with just about every type of autoimmune disorder and may actually be the first domino. Years and years of having a leaky gut allows undigested bad actors to find their way into the bloodstream where the immune system goes, hey, those aren't supposed to be here. Let's go after them. And they look like tissue, thyroid, chondrocytes in the joints. So while the bad actors are being attacked by your immune system, it's also attacking important tissue. It's pretty well understood in an ultra simplistic standpoint that this is what autoimmunity is. And it all starts with the leaky gut. And it doesn't matter what you do, low dose naltrexone, what other products you use to try to mitigate the negative effects of autoimmunity. Nothing happens until you fix your gut. Nothing. You can't take one step forward and two steps backwards every single day and expect to get better. So really, fixing the gut has to be the first step to any type of recovery and healing. And we're going to talk about that today on the show. But before we do that, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that's Legendary Foods. Their tasty pastry is taking the world by storm. It's fast replacing protein bars. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. It has less than 1 gram of sugar and less than 5 grams of net carbs, 20 grams of high-quality protein. Tastes delicious. Your kids will love it. Check out the red velvet cake. It's delicious. You won't be able to stop eating them. If you want to buy 2 boxes, get 4, because I promise you they'll go very fast. Now, if you're too cheap to spring for a box, listen to the show. During the commercial breaks, you'll hear a secret word. Send that secret word to onair@superhumanradio.net, and you're entered to win. We're giving away a lot. Those of you who have already been notified that you've won, be patient. We're trying to fulfill and get everyone their tasty pastries as quick as possible. You will get it. I promise you, you will get it, but you just have to be patient. I'm the logjam. I'm the one that's having a long time to get the information over to the folks at Legendary Foods. Now, without further delay, my buddy, my friend, Wade Lightheart. How you doing, Wade?
Carl, great to be here as always. I love coming on the show. Thanks for having me. It's crazy times we're living in, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
So you heard my intro. Autoimmune disorders really do have a very, very strong correlation starting out with a leaky gut, right?
Yeah, well, if you look at, and there's a lot of information going around right now on immune system responses. I mean, even I think it was the Weinsteins, Brett and his wife were on, like, Bill Maher talking about immune system response. And there's 2 aspects to immune system response in the body when there is some sort of inflammatory condition. And most people are talking about it in relation to viruses, because viruses have a protein coating that protects it. And that's what's going out there. But all that aside, we're not talking about, what all the components of viruses. When people are talking about the new vaccines and stuff, or how the immune system works, and what this new vaccine talks about with mRNA and stuff, is basically your immune system has 2 functions when it sees a protein it doesn't recognize in the body. Okay, and I'm going to list where this goes to. Is one, there is an uptick in your immune response to build cells to attack this particular component. And then there is another piece, once they've eliminated that down regulates. When you don't have the proper down regulation in your immune system, or because either there's a continuous assault of these proteins, like unrecognizable proteins by the immune system, this is when you get into autoimmune diseases. Now, before you get to an autoimmune disease, everybody is in kind of a certain state of attack because of the way our diets have changed over the last 80 years, particularly since the advent of monoculture farming, factory farming, the changing in food production, distribution, also genetic modification, herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, food dyes, food additives, all these things that is now common to the diet, although it will preserve the production capacity or saving the product on the shelf or whatever, these things aren't recognizable by our bodies. Okay, and so what happens is, our digestive system has evolved over millions and millions of years to recognize food that are natural to environment. And we've made a variety of adaptive changes as a species since going back in time. One of the big shifts was when we went from a hunter-gatherer society to an agricultural society. And there were major shifts. There's a whole lot of debate about what transpired when, we have the paleo people, and then we have the grain stuff, and then we have ancient grains and modern. So there's all these discussions are going back to, well, what's really happened? But what we can say for sure, regardless of the historical aspects, is over the last 80 years, we've become the evolutionary challenge to overcome. Like, we've created it. Before, it was like maybe in the environment, maybe it was cold, maybe it was floods, maybe it was famine. But now this whole chemicalization of society has created a variety of problems and as well. So things like heavy metals that are found in many fish products, the chemical components in grains like Roundup, for example, which is on the food, genetic modification, which alters various proteins. Like they have tomatoes with insect DNA inside it to make it look good. And okay, yeah, maybe it makes your tomato look good. Maybe it makes it more resistant to whatever pest or whatever. But when it gets inside your body, what happens is our ability to break down and digest that food is compromised. And some of our good bacteria start to die off, and they live in this little mucosa lining. There's like this little, so you can imagine the mucus that comes out of your nose, if you got the flu. Well, there's the same kind of mucoid lining inside your intestinal tract. Now, it's called the biofilm. And this biofilm is important because various species of bacteria, which we live in a symbiotic relationship, are going to help us break down the final round of food, because we've talked about digestion. You have enzymes and hydrochloric acid, and then the probiotics finish the job. And if we didn't have these probiotics in our body, we would die. But what happens is this film starts to break down to chemicalization. What then happens is it's like having if you imagine a mesh, like a mesh that you're straining, spaghetti in or something like that. Well, imagine our gut is on a more of a microscopic level, but it's got this permeability. We start getting tears in this. And then these undigested or unrecognized or genetically modified or chemical-based agents slip into through the intestinal barrier, and our body goes, uh-oh, we need to have some sort of reaction. We need to have an immune system response to this. And, well, that's okay in a short term. Maybe once every now and then we can handle that. But because our food supply has been changed so radically, we start developing chronic inflammatory-based conditions. If you go to Dr. Leo Gallard, who is from the Foundation of Integrative Medicine, he says, well, how do you have leaky gut? Because that's really what people want to know. Do I have leaky gut? Is it possible? You have things like chronic diarrhea, constipation, gas, or bloating. Any nutritional deficiencies. If you find that you get every cold that happens, or poor immune response, If you have a lot of brain fog when you wake up in the morning, you need like a giant cup of coffee to get going, or you suffer from headaches or memory loss, can't remember where you set your keys down 2 minutes ago. Excessive fatigue, skin rashes. A lot of skin conditions are related to leaky gut. Cravings for sugar. That's an interesting one. If you have uncontrollable sugar cravings, and you illustrated this earlier, arthritis or joint pain because you're building up uric acid crystals in your joints. Depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and celiac disease or Crohn's. That's kind of the more advanced and progressive stage that has happened over. Oftentimes, this will take decades for us. Basically, you've just been fighting the tide for years and years and years, and finally, what we call degenerative diseases associated with aging aren't. They're degenerative diseases associated with leaky gut and a poor diet.
Right. So I want to stick with this for a couple seconds. There's some interesting. Antibiotics seem to contribute to changing the terrain.
Correct.
But there are people out there who will say, well, I really haven't taken a lot of antibiotics. And I want to point out something. Genetically modified foods in and of themselves may not be the problem. But when they're modified to accept thousands and thousands of pounds of herbicides specifically. Why herbicides? Because herbicides are antimicrobial. The difference between an antibiotic and an antimicrobial is the dose and the duration. So an antibiotic is a larger dose, but an antimicrobial will be a lower dose. But if you consume an antimicrobial day in and day out, now all of a sudden the dose and duration numbers change. Glyphosate is an antimicrobial, and it's so strong that there's a patent that was filed by Monsanto to combine amoxicillin and glyphosate as a human antibiotic. Think about that for a second. So even if you haven't been exposed to antibiotics as a child, if you're eating conventionally grown foods, especially foods that have been modified to accept glyphosate, you are eating daily small amounts of antibiotics. In fact, I talked about this probably 5 or 7 years ago, and now there's a study showing it, that genetically modified foods that are sprayed with glyphosate, the microbes get stronger. And now glyphosate is being tied to antibiotic resistant diseases because you're getting, that which not kills you makes you stronger. That's true of the bugs too. So the crops that are being sprayed with antimicrobials regularly, those microbes are getting more robust and stronger, and the crops aren't, and the sprays aren't killing them anymore, and you're consuming them. And when they give you a round of antibiotics, it doesn't work. So we are watching plant evolution, microbial evolution right before our eyes. This is a big problem. Speak about just the antimicrobials that we consume. Hey, when I went to Mexico, they had triclosan in Colgate toothpaste. Triclosan that you use on your hands as an antimicrobial.
It's gone totally crazy. There was a lady, I was just watching her the other day in India, who was talking about the major farming crisis that they're having in India right now. And they were able to demonstrate that the whole story about using these antimicrobials and genetically modified foods and all these things that people such as Bill Gates are promoting in these kind of farming components have absolutely failed. In other words, traditionally grown crop rotation, organically grown foods are actually increasing yield over what we've been able to discover for 60 years. But there's another issue that's going on that people might not consider. If you are eating, let's say you're eating, you're getting your regular feedings of beef and chicken and all these sort of things. Many of these animals are eating chemically sprayed nutrients. They are oftentimes on antibiotics because they're in such close quarters and these type of things. And those things are extremely resilient chemically when they get inside the body. So what happens is over years, you're subjecting yourself. And I have a theory, and it's completely just something out of observation, you formate theories. And I find it interesting that most people who are on a certain type of restrictive diet, after a while, they get tired of eating that particular food and they need to rotate to something else. And I always wondered about that. Like, why is that per se? Like, what's really going on there? And I do believe that there is an unconscious pattern mechanism or survival mechanism in the body that's saying, hey, there's something in that food that I'm eating that I've hit the tolerance zone and I need to switch to something else, because it takes a bit of time to adapt. So I think in the world that we're living in today, we have to accept that, and Harvard just actually confirmed this recently, that we all have a certain amount of leaky gut, regardless of how strict you are in your diet. And the less strict you are, the more likely that you have hyperpermeability, is what really leaky gut is, which means all kinds of things are leaking into your system, which puts a drain on your immune system, which has a cascade of effects over time.
So I had a GI doctor on the show many years ago, and I said, there's a lot of doctors who don't believe leaky gut exists. There's a lot of doctors who say it's no such thing as leaky gut. And then I say, well, what would you call GERD or silent GERD? It's episodic, but if you suffer from GERD 3-4 times a week, that's your gut leaking up into your esophagus. Your esophagus isn't designed to absorb nutrients. So what is the contents of your stomach is leaking. It's leaking this way instead of this way, but it's still leaking. And a lot more people have something called silent GERD now. You don't get heartburn, but you have this acidy taste in your mouth all the time. You find that you're belching constantly. You feel like your food wants to come up, but it doesn't coincide with that burning feeling of frank heartburn. And you live with it day in and day out. That is a leaky gut. It doesn't matter if the submarine is leaking from a hole in the hull or from the hatch on top. It's leaking. And we can't ignore this any longer, because there really is leaky. There's a lot of doctors who say leaky gut is a completely bogus thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that people in positions of authority, and I think it just comes from the sheer overwhelm of conflicting information and trying to keep up not only with their fields, but also with the amount of information and the paperwork that they have to do with their regulatory bodies, that I think what happens is people just kind of shut down. Even medical people, they're humans. And unless they're willing to kind of get interested or do some due diligence, and the doctors who go in and start diving into and who have the qualifications to maybe understand and get into the research actually are now reporting that virtually everybody has leaky gut. That's what Harvard just came out with a paper recently. Like, this is a major, major issue that may be contributing to all the challenges around autoimmunity, which seem to be plaguing the population, particularly in industrialized countries, which are using all of these components and chemicals and agents that we haven't used traditionally throughout millions of years. Maybe we'll evolve to handle this, in 1,000 or 10,000 years, but in the short term, it's not going to happen. So as people who want health, we have to look at ways in order to do that. And that's one of the reasons why we have a research team in Bosnia at a university who are experts in biofilm. And we run a variety of tests so that we don't have to trust external authorities or competing double-blind studies. We actually just look at people and look at the lining and run tests to find out, because who has time to wait 20 years or take a bunch of antibiotics or go through the route, running around and fight with people who are telling you that the symptoms you're feeling aren't real.
Right. So let's talk about the product that you are introducing that speaks to this. Now, I said to you off the air, I happen to know very well about one of these ingredients, and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
I said to you, this has to be a very expensive product to produce. And you replied to me,
every one of our products are expensive to produce. When it comes to supplements, and I've been in the industry for 25 years, The best supplements are generally created by companies, by individuals who are scratching an itch and had to dive deep, that they're building their product to solve a particular problem, not to make margin. So there's mission-based products and there's margin-based products. And margin-based products are usually Me Too knockoff products because somebody that's on a mission figured out something to solve a particular issue, some research supports it, and then there's a bunch of companies out there which they produce a Me Too product, which is based on the lowest quality components, microscopic dosages of what might be effective, and they turn it out because what happens is, the layperson comes to the store, goes online, and they see a product, and they go, well, there's this gut repair kit or this probiotic or this enzyme, and we see there's one bottle for $100 and one bottle for $10. Well, and they go, well, it looks the same.
They have to be the same. Right.
Must be the same. And economics being a reality for everyone, they go, well, I can spend the $10. Then they get the dopamine hit that I've done something for the condition, but it doesn't fix, because there's nothing more expensive than a product that doesn't work. So I ran into all my digestive issues as a former bodybuilding guy, and that's what got me into this space. I had to fix my own digestion. And then I discovered, well, geez, there's a lot of people that have digestion, and that's why we've grown our company by Optimizers, because the foundation of your health starts in your gut. Hippocrates knew this 2,000 years ago, today that's never been more real. And what they've found is, particularly with IGY Max, which is a patented product made out of eggs, and it has
egg yolk, isn't it? Egg yolk. Yes. So we're not even talking about the whole egg. We're talking about throwing away the largest portion of the egg and focusing on the smallest. Go ahead.
Yes. And if you think about that, let's just step aside from the product for a second and just do some deductive reasoning, because I know that you like to do this. What the egg yolk actually forms, if you were to develop a chicken or any embryonic, is the internal organs and digestive systems and operational organs for that being to exist. And IGY Max seems to be one of the key elements that is critical in the proper formation of this mucoid lining that allows the bacteria to grow so that we can exist in a symbiotic relationship as we mature into full adults. And they've isolated that, and it's a great immunoglobulin, and that's what it does. So when people use this, the tracker, the squeaky wheel or the canary in the coal mine is a chemical called zonulin. If zonulin is being produced by the body, they know that you've got leaky gut, if it's up above a certain range. And so when people take IGY Max, what happens is they'll see something like 80, 90, even 95% decrease in this zonulin, which is demonstrating. Well, turns out you can actually put this to the test, which we have with our Bosnian team, and they're like, wow, we've never seen anything like it. These are experts, PhDs in microbiome, and it just fixes the gut lining, which is awesome, because people feel the relief.
So let's do this real quick before we take our first break. If people want to try the new Leaky Gut Guardian, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut and use the code SHR10 for an additional 10% off. As always, Bioptimizers has different packages and plans that reward people who buy more. And as always, Bioptimizers offers a money-back guarantee. Isn't that correct?
100% money-back guarantee. If it doesn't blow you away, doesn't fix your problem, if it's not the best product you ever take, you just let us know and we give you your money back. It's really that simple.
Yeah, so you get to try it. And that's a nice feeling. And most companies don't do that because they don't want to be inundated with return product that they can't resell. They have to throw away. So it shows you that they're convinced and they trust that you will notice something. When we come back, let's talk about the other things that are in the new Leaky Gut Guardian from Bioptimizers. Again, shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Use code SHR10. We shall be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Stay tuned. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Epigenome. Getting a massage post-workout is a proven strategy to facilitate better recovery. Getting to massage therapists can be difficult and expensive, especially in these times. The solution is the Meteor, a heated massage ball from Milestorm. Reduce pain and soreness and expedite recovery with the Meteor's research-backed vibration settings and therapeutic heat. It's convenient for travel and works on any body part. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Meteor and use code SHR15 for 15% off and free shipping if you buy 2 or more. Start recovering better today. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today. Folks, I'm pleased to announce that Pure Nootropics is now carrying the antioxidant alpha-lipoic acid in its bioidentical natural form as R-Ala. R-Ala provides protection in many areas and has even been shown to promote weight loss. Check out the interview I did on episode 2608 back in October to learn more. Our friends at Pure Nootropics have been bringing you great products and deals since 2013, and they have another one with R-Ala. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure and use code SHR30 for a whopping 30% off. Level up. Go Pure.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. We're talking about how to correct your own leaky gut. You can do it in the comfort of your own home with this product we're talking about today, Leaky Gut Guardian. So what else is in there? I know IGY Max is a heavy mover, but there are other complementary things that you thought to put in here.
Yes. So when you're looking at particularly repairing, there are certain bacteria that seem to accelerate the process, and we test these in order to see if the research holds weight in combination. And that's the beauty of having, experts in this area, is that you can, extrapolate, does it really work? And so what we've added to the formula with the IGY Max is several different probiotics, such as Lactobacillus rhamnosus. And so for those who don't know, that was isolated in like 1983, I think. And it's very good because it can survive in acid and bile environments. So we know that it can survive into the intestinal tract. It was used effectively against things like diarrhea. Going back to our initial symptoms, if you have a lot of diarrhea and stuff like that, chances are you've got some gut permeability going on there, as well as urinary tract infections, which is interesting, and IBS. Those things, rhamnosus has been used for many, many years. Particularly Finland, there was a lot of work done back in the day on that. So we add that inside of it. We add Lactobacillus gasseri. Some people call it gassery. I'm not really sure which one, how, it depends where it is. But anyways, this one is particularly good around gut inflammation. Now, most of the research was done with animals. However, there are some researchers in Korea that actually showed when people that were suffering from leaky gut started taking this, their hips and waist went down in size with no changes in their diet. That's just inflammatory response. It's not fat. It's not burning fat. And we all know what it's like. You might be fairly lean, but you'll eat certain things or you'll do certain things and you're like, why am I waking up so bloated today? Usually when you wake up with that bloated feeling, that's a good indication that you're having an inflammatory response, because inflammation, you bring water, there's all these, immune system response mechanisms are going in there. And then of course, once it passes, then you downregulate. Okay. And then here's one of my favorites. I love these guys. Is L. helveticus, Lactobacillus helveticus, right? And this is particularly good. It's been used a lot for older people and immune systems. Of course, that's a big issue right now. People who are elderly, and often a lot of elderly people suffer from leaky gut. This has been very helpful. And I think that a lot of the issues, if you look in these nursing homes and the kind of food that they feed a lot of these older people, which many of them grew up eating a fairly healthy diet, and then they get into some of these institutions and they start feeding them the cheapest stuff because they're trying to make problems, and then all of a sudden they get sick, and then they're surrounded by each other, and it goes around and it becomes a disaster in there. Helveticus has been shown very well to be able to deal with immune system boosting as well as assisting against salmonella. So plus on top of that, we add inulin. So inulin is important not only in creating the gut barrier, but this is something that feeds your good guys, right? You always want to feed the good guys. We put vitafiber, and we sweetened with D-ribose. So when you take, so when you take, there's two different kinds that we have here. You can see these ones.
That is super. D-ribose is a super expensive sugar that actually helps power the heart.
Exactly. So these are the two of the different types. We have this one we call carnivore chocolate, and this one is a little bit different because we add collagen and bone broth. So if you don't mind those beef products, because a lot of people do bone broth, or they do collagen to support it, or they'll do glutamine. Way back in the day as bodybuilders, people were taking glutamine to repair the intestinal tract because bodybuilders eat a lot of protein, and they would say, well, if you take glutamine, I remember Bill Phillips back in the late 90s started reporting this, and you took glutamine and all of a sudden you felt better and you recovered better. Well, it's because you're not draining your reserves from immune system. With the, we call it the vegetarian version, although it is made from eggs, but it doesn't have any other components. So if you're a vegan, that wouldn't be an option. But this is the one I use every day. It's vanilla. It tastes like frosting. It tastes like cake frosting. It's so good. And, you put this in. What I suggest for people, when you get up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, just take one scoop. It melts in your mouth. You're going to love taking this. And if you have one of these conditions, within a couple of days, you're going to see improvements. If you got diarrhea or gas or bloating, and I've got so many people who have been suffering from these kind of conditions. They're like, Wade, I don't know what you do with this stuff. Just give me 6 bottles. I do not want to go without it. Right. And it's been
it's important. The timing is important. Before bed on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, so that it's the digestive process isn't already happening, and it can stick around. It can stick around.
Correct. And it's one of the easiest things to do, because I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to have my little scoop of my vanilla leaky gut.
So good.
It tastes amazing. It tastes so good, right? It's like, oh boy, because I have a bit of a sweet tooth, right? It's kind of.
Let's. We have a couple questions I want to get up here. So the first one comes from Robert Thompson. He says, "How does asymptomatic diverticulitis play into leaky gut?" This is an interesting question because a lot more people have diverticulitis and don't know it because there's no symptoms. So for those of you who don't know, in the diverticulum portion of the intestines, what happens is you end up with a pouch that shouldn't be there. So because it's a pouch, think of it as a room. You have a corridor, and as stuff is going through the corridor, some stuff gets pushed into the room and just hangs out there. And people who have diverticulitis, as a rule, end up someday with that pouch bursting, being rushed to the hospital, potentially dying from sepsis. It's very serious, having undiagnosed diverticulitis. So I have to believe that portion, that pouch, has the mucosal barrier gone. Otherwise, it wouldn't have become a pouch in the first place. What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly true. And again, what you're dealing with is usually an undigested food. And what's interesting is you see this particularly, a lot of those people are sensitive to seeds. And I believe personally, this is a theory, this is not proven, that the seeds of plants that have been grown on these highly chemicalized fields, let's just use it as that, or have been genetically modified, for some people, they can't break those down. And so that seed sits in your gut. So if you notice that when you eat any kind of seeds, it's coming out in your stool. And if you have a predisposition for diverticulitis, my suggestion is stop eating all that stuff, because you're going to run yourself into problems, and you're setting yourself. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Right.
Because this thing could sit, that seed could sit down there. Like if I put a seed on the table, it's never going to grow whatever plant it is for 100 years. I put that seed in the soil, it will. But if it's in your intestinal tract, you're not going to grow a tree or a fruit or anything else. But what it will is it'll attract all sorts of inflammatory components. The bacteria won't grow. If that chemicals are associated with, it's going to create a permeability. Then you got a pouch there. Then it's going to start pushing on your nervous system, because your nervous system, just like acupuncture, a lot of people don't know this, your intestinal tract has sections of the intestinal tract which are related to different parts of your body. And you'll run into challenges with your heart, or challenges with your liver, or disruptions in your brain function, depending on where these pouches start to grow. And it's kind of fascinating how, when you get into this, how all areas are associated together.
And as a point, when people undergo radical plastic surgery to remove a pouch of fat that they had when they were pregnant, they actually lose the proprioception associated with that skin. So it actually affects how they walk, how they move, because they no longer sense anything. Proprioception and connectivity of organs, joints, muscle tissue is amazing. We really don't even pay attention to it. But the other thing I wanted to mention is another thing to stay away from if you are prone or been told that you have one of these diverticulitis pouches is nuts. If you don't believe me, most people don't digest. Eat a bag of cashews. And if you're a 24-hour digester, tomorrow at that time, look at what your stool looks like. It's actually not solid. It's usually mushy, and it's because you don't digest nut meat. And a lot of people who are rushed to the hospital with the pouch bursting will tell you, oh my God, I've been eating almonds for the past 5 days because they're so healthy for me. And
right.
Boom, I ended up going to the hospital. So you're right. Seeds and nuts, we don't digest those very easily. We just don't.
Well, especially when you get those, like you go to the gas station or things like that, and you get the nuts and you look on it, what do they got? They got canola oil on it, which used to be called rapeseed. And just start doing your due diligence on canola oil and sterility and dysfunction in your body and hormone dysregulation. I was really upset when Whole Foods started putting canola oil on everything after they got bought out by Amazon. And you go to the salad bar and half the things got canola oil, and now we don't even have a salad bar because of COVID. But that's
interestingly. Ask someone at the store level, what is canola oil? What does it come from? There's no such thing as a canola. That stands for the Canadian Oil Company. That's what canola came from. And you're right, it's rapeseed, and rapeseed is one of the most harsh seed foods you can find, and it's higher in omega-6 and omega-9 than anything else. It's the most. Don't forget, soybean oil has just been associated with DNA changes in fetuses, and that lead to brain problems. Soybean oil has finally been outed. We're going to be talking about it on the show very shortly. Canola is worse than soybean oil, way, way worse. It's horrible stuff. So yes. Last question is Robert Thompson again. Good Belly probiotics, Me Too or margin product? I'm not even familiar with Good Belly. Is it a mainstream publicized probiotic product?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular brand. One of the things that is a great testing point is, does the company back their product with 100% guarantee? Do they have any kind of research associated with it? Most companies don't do any of their own research on their products or their services. And do they provide you education? And then finally, does it work? Do you take the product and your symptoms go away? And if they do, it's probably a good product. If they don't, then they probably don't. It's really that simple.
Well, because of the name, my bet is it's not a good product. And here's my logic. So smart cars are not smart cars to drive because they're tiny. They look like roller skates, and you will be killed if you're in a smart water is not really smart water. When they put the word smart on something, the people who buy it think they're, I'm smart because I'm buying smart water. I'm driving a smart car. Good belly. It implies that taking these and your stomach will be happier. It will be good for you. The name alone, to me, says, we're trying to pull a fast one on you. We're going to name it something that makes you feel good about using it, not necessarily good because you use it. So there's a big difference there. But it sounds like a mainstream product to me, and I would have to bet that it's a Me Too or margin product. I have to believe that. I really do. Okay, so here's another one. So Robert Thompson's very Olive Garden uses canola. Everybody uses canola oil.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you, if you start paying attention, you're going to find canola oil in every friggin' thing. Everything.
Well, there was that whole big issue with the Italian olive oil that was getting cut with the canola oil because they could make it cheaper, and so now most health people don't buy Italian-based oils. They actually get it was a whole mob thing. They get Spanish oil, or they really do a deep dive on it because a lot of the quote-unquote healthy olive oils and stuff actually were being cut with canola oil for margins.
Yeah, I know. There's a whole black market on olive oil right now. All right, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, I've got something to say. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order. The power of light can be truly life-changing and an important element for every superhuman. Because of this, I want you to experience the power of award-winning Celluma light therapy. Celluma utilizes NASA research technology to improve health at the cellular level and is cleared by the FDA to effectively treat a variety of pain, muscle, and joint conditions, as well as facial wrinkles and acne. Our entire team here at Superhuman Radio uses it. Its innovative shape-taking design allows for easy placement anywhere on the body. Choose from 13 different models. For an exclusive listener discount, go to shrnetwork.biz/Celluma. That's CELLUMA, and use code SHR10 to save 10% off of one of these award-winning devices. Are you ready to change the way you age? Of course you are. That's why you're here. Juvicel is a new first-of-its-kind dietary supplement that includes 10 key research-backed ingredients shown in studies to support lifespan. Things like resveratrol, fisetin, quercetin, pterostilbene, sulforaphane, turmeric, all in a single dose. You may have some of these ingredients already, but Juvicel is the first to combine them all into a single product to support your lifespan. It's vegan, non-GMO, and sustainable. Live better longer with Juvicel. Go to shrnetwork.biz/live better. Use code SHR and save 20% off today. Epigenome. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000. Or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon 1 banner ad today. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. I want to go on record of saying something. I use Bioptimizer's products religiously every single day. Masszyme. I use their HCl plus. I use the what is the probiotic that I take from my
E3OM? I think it is.
E3OM. Thank you. I use them with every meal, and they work. And I notice a big change in how I digest food since I've been using them. I'm going to say that Leaky Gut Guardian is going to be one of the most successful products, if not the most successful product that you have ever produced, because there are a lot of people out there who are suffering from hard to diagnose disorders that once they get their guts fixed, these disorders are going to start to go away. And if the product works, and I know it does, they're going to notice changes quickly in a couple weeks. And, you know, part of the problem with fighting a disorder is it takes decades for the symptoms to show up. It takes decades for the disorder to get better. But when you don't notice anything new, like you lose faith and you hop to something else. So I predict that people are going to start using this product. They're going to notice changes. They're going to stick with it. And a year or two from now, those symptoms are going to be gone. And I'm speaking specifically to people who have multiple sclerosis-like symptoms, demyelination, okay? Because the myelin is being attacked because it's being misidentified for some other component that's leaking into your digestive system. Multiple sclerosis is unilateral. Usually have it in one leg, one side of your body. If you have bilateral numbness in your hands, numbness in your feet, you probably don't have multiple sclerosis, but you probably are challenged with an autoimmune disorder. Now, I predict that a lot of people will start using this product and notice their symptoms get better. Now, I'm saying that. I'm not asking you to concur, but I'm saying that because I understand the value of fixing a leaky gut, personally, myself.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think one of the reasons why we're starting to see such almost like a cult-like following around intermittent fasting or extended fasting is because it's providing a bit of time for the body to start repairing its intestinal lining. And I believe that this is an adaptive response that intelligent humans are using to mitigate, to offset the unrelenting assault on our digestive system from all the chemicalization of society. But I can say this: I have been blessed to have virtually a cult-like following on this product. The people who have been suffering from diarrhea and IBS and inflammatory bowel conditions of all sorts swear by this. They're like, wait, I don't want to go away from this. I don't want to get from it. Just make sure, like, send me as much. And they stock it up. They stock it up. They take big orders because they're scared they're going to run out. Like, they're literally scared. Like, if we run into shipping problems or something happens, like when the pandemic broke out and there was like shipping delays, I had people searching me down on Facebook, messaging me on messages, like people I didn't know, never heard of her before. They were tracking me down and like, please, I need this. And, you know, on my heart went out to them, but I was like, if you've got these symptoms, particularly I've noticed with a lot of older people, I had little old ladies who didn't want to go play bridge with their friends because of diarrhea conditions they couldn't control. You know,
Right.
they're wearing their diapers and things like that. And just the the human dignity component around that, right? And to see them and they're telling me, hey, I can now go play bridge with my friends, or I can do this. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Look, to be frank, it just makes me feel good. We read these testimonials on our Monday meetings with the whole team because, you know, making money is one thing, and everybody needs to do that as a business. And I love the supplement industry. I love the health industry. We create an education program that supplements are the fifth part of it. You can't supplement your way out of a bad lifestyle or a bad diet. I want to be clear about that. But if you're taking care of these other components, and I think a lot of your listeners are and have had challenges in this year, hey, why not give it a try? Give it a shot. We're going to take away the risks. If it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't fix your situation, no problem. We just give you your money back. No harm, no foul. There's some great ways to do it. And as a little side note, what I have noticed for people who are really compromised, what I'm suggesting that they do is they do fasting 1 day a week. But during the day of fasting, take multiple dosages every few hours the day of the fasting. Yes, you're not going to get the same benefits of the fast. But what I do believe, this is completely anecdotal, is that people are reporting improvements in their symptoms much faster if they do that. So take a day of fasting, even if it's a partial day fasting, and then take a scoop every couple of hours for a day. Load up.
I don't think it would negate the fast, because we know that fasting mimicking diets, which do the same thing as fasting, as long as you stay at 600 calories or less a day, you're still getting all the benefits of fasting. But you're so right, and I'm going to tell you why I think you're so right. Dr. Terry Walls will be coming back on the show very shortly. She was on my show 7-8 years ago when she wrote the Walls protocol for multiple sclerosis. She reversed her MS symptoms completely. And recently, she is taking to doing once a month a 5-day water fast, nothing but water. And over that 5 days, her symptoms completely unwind. Everything gets better. And then over the upcoming weeks, I guess some of the symptoms start coming back. I think the magic in the fast is your body goes, oh my God, there's not this inrush of stuff coming into the bloodstream. Like the immune system can stand down for 2-3 days at a time, which tells me that you're not fixed. It's just a reprieve period where your body isn't fighting all of these bad actors because you're not putting anything in your gut. But your gut's still leaking if you start going back and eating and your diet, a normal diet, and all of a sudden your symptoms start getting bad again. So I think you're spot on about the fasting. I also think you're spot on about taking the opportunity of nothing being in your stomach and putting this in your stomach. So I have a lot of faith that you're absolutely right.
Yeah, loading is always something that, and one of the courses in their course, the Awesome Health course, and people go to our site, whether they buy our products or not, they can download it. And I want to introduce them to the concept of what I call the bucket theory of nutrition. And its origination came from Dr. Linus Pauling, Dr. Abram Hoffer, and Dr. David Hawkins, who developed orthomolecular psychiatry. In other words, using what they called therapeutic dosages of various vitamins, minerals, detoxification elements to change the course of diseases that were not responding to medications. And in that, I took that information and I've applied it in my own life to a variety. If I do testing and I find out that I'm deficient in a particular vitamin or mineral or essential fatty acid or whatever, I dose up. I take it in divided dosages throughout a day so that I can fill it up. And what I always say is your optimal level of everything would be like a bucket, and your burn rate is like a hole in the bucket. And as life increases in stress, usually you'll burn or demands on a nutrient or a vitamin. And most medical systems or most suggestions with RDAs and federally regulated recommended dosages are usually enough to patch what you're burning from your lifestyle. But you want to operate from a full bucket. And once your bucket's full, then you only need a maintenance dose. And why I'm suggesting for people to give this, do your either intermittent or whole day fasting and take servings multiple times a day, just try it. And I believe, and there's certainly a lot of evidence to suggest this from our clients that are doing this, that they're getting results even faster by including it, and it completely changes their life. It can completely changes how they can systematically address issues that might have taken months or years to correct. They can do it much faster because of the sheer overwhelming the bad guys, if you will, with numbers.
Right. Oh, I agree. The product is called Leaky Gut Guardian. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut and use the code SHR10, you'll save 10% off. And there's opportunities to buy more and save big time. Check it out. As soon as this show's over, I'm ordering some for me. Just so you know, I mean, I use all these products and I have gut issues and I'm very hopeful about this product. I really, really am. Wait, we have one more question, I think. Let me make sure we answered everything. So first of all, Ryan says, great podcast. And then he says, have you noted any physiological subs for some like depression?
Yeah, great question. So, and we're actually looking into this extensively. We developed another product called Cognibiotics, which was related because I believe that if you look at people who have, say, depression or low mood or things like that, basically they're not able to produce enough of the neurotransmitters that will create quote unquote a balanced brain, whatever that is. And we also know that there is neurotransmitter dominance in various people. So, for example, Charles Poliquin identified that gold medalists are either acetylcholine or dopamine driven. Forget it. He wouldn't even train people if they were like GABA dominant or serotonin dominant or something like that. So what I have found is that people that are prone to those conditions often can trace back and, they'll get mood swings and oftentimes they'll eat a lot of sugar in concoction and then they'll kind of rise and crash. And they're eating sugar because that gives them a boost in their neurotransmitters that helps alleviate it, but then the crash comes down. And I believe that a lot of that is correlated to not having the right bacteria because a lot of your neurotransmitters are made in the gut. Like things like serotonin is 95% of it's made in the gut. And so what I would suggest is patch the gut up and then maybe try a product like Cognibiotics, or you can even look at, which we just released today, the upgraded version of our Newtopia products, which is complete customized nootropic formulations to optimize your neurochemistry. So We'll be talking more. We'll probably get you back. We'll probably get back on the podcast to talk about that, Carl, because this thing is a game changer for people.
Yeah. And the website to go to is Bioptimizers, BIOPTIMIZERS.com for all of the other products there. Listen, this is great. I'm very excited about this product. I've known about the DIY, the IGY Max for a long time. It's an amazing product. It's extremely, extremely expensive. I know this is a quality product, and I'm willing to bet that a lot of people are going to notice big changes in their gut. Thank you for being here today.
Always a pleasure, Carl.
And that's it for today. It's Friday. Unfortunately, it was too cold to ride my motorcycle today, but I will be riding tomorrow. See everybody Monday. Share the show. Take care. Have a fun weekend.